The greatest adventure is what lies ahead. Today and tomorrow are yet to be said. The chances, the changes are all yours to make. The mold of your life is in your hands to break. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Pixel Lore. Once again, I am Pixel, the prof. You can see it down here. And this is Landry Q Wizard, Walker. Same thing.
Hello.
We're here today to talk about The Hobbit. No, not that one. No, the other one. From 1977 by Rankin. Yes, The Hobbit. It was my first time watching it. You know what? I watched it twice.
How do you know the lyrics to the song already? I don't know the lyrics to the song. I've seen this like 40 times.
You want me to be honest?
You have them in front of you.
Yes, I do. Because I can remember
I'm a
that
wizard.
first part, but the next part, not really. But it'll ingrain itself in my memory because it is fantastic. I've said one thing. I've been critical of one thing, especially about those live-action Hobbit movies. Where's the music? There's music throughout this entire damn book, and this movie did not disappoint in that regard. Let me tell you that.
Definitely.
But yeah, no, for first thoughts, this was a lot of fun. I love Rankin. I really do. And seen everybody's watched their Christmas specials. Everyone. And their mother. And their grandmother. It's fantastic. And this movie is not an exception. It is also fantastic. Very whimsical. But I do have to say one thing. Boy, did they do those dwarves dirty. They are the ugliest son of bitches you'll ever see.
I love how weird, and they're very gnome-like in the classic gnome illustration, and they are unique. There's no attempt to beautify, to anglify. They're just a different type of being, and they are weird looking, and I love that. I mean,
you must have loved the wood elves then, huh?
Oh my god. Well, okay, I'm gonna be clear. I hated those wood elves when I was a kid. I really love how weird all the designs are.
They're too weird.
So here's an interesting thing about this is they didn't try when they made this, they didn't try to look at Lord of the Rings at all, is my understanding about it. They just went with the Hobbit without a thought of what Gollum might actually be. They just made Gollum so freaking strange.
Yes, but there's also this weird. There's an importance placed upon the ring that is calling too much to Lord of the Rings. That's not in the original Hobbit, and that's the one thing. So yeah, when they designed Gollum, they didn't think about anything like that. They didn't care. But what they did care about was the fact that this ring is going to be in the next thing we want to do.
What I do love that Gollum ends up, the design of him. Okay, so it does not work from a world lore point of view in Lord of the Rings. It does, however, it's beautifully strange, uniquely odd and weird design that if Gollum was not connected to the hobbits would be a fantastic Gollum design. Whereas
though, because the implication, because so many years goes ahead and changes him, it looks like a large nose at the end that's just molded to his mouth.
Sure,
so I mean, it's big, almost there. Yeah, so he's a little too big in that regard. But even then, like, I still think it actually works. I think the design, it's enough to like pass over to go ahead and say, well, because like dwarves have that same thing, the humongous noses that go ahead and take up their face and just blends in.
So the design of the goblins, it's so out there. I mean, their mouths are impossibly big. They would never work physiologically. In 3D, they would look terrible, but for 2D animation, they're so over the top. And so, like, when they are riding the wargs, the 15 birds, I love that song. Love it. And then down to Goblin Town, down to Goblin Town. The songs are so good, and that one is sung. The goblins are sung by the guy who did the Grinch. You're a mean one,
Yes.
Mr. Grinch. Same.
What is it?
Ravens. What is his
It's
name?
Raven something.
Yeah.
Gosh, if only we had any viewers, they could tell us.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Oh, that's gonna bother me now. Because you know what? I actually just saw his name not long ago.
Raven's good. Ravensloft. Ravenscroft. Thoreau's Raven. Thoreau.
Thoreau's Ravenscroft.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's so good. This and I mean, it's not to say that there is without flaw. I'll get to some of the flaws in a minute, but the beauty of this is one of the things we see, and this is one of the things that I don't like about what the Peter Jackson films have done, is they've, for a generation or two or three, they've locked in one look for everything. I like that we can have things like this. That look, Gandalf looks nothing like the Ian McKellen Gandalf. The dwarves are completely different. The goblins are insane.
So I will say this: the Gandalf is great.
Oh yeah.
Gandalf the Great. Gandalf is great. I love the design, and the acting the voice acting. It's just perfect. It carries.
Oh yeah. He's really good.
There was a hobbit in a hole in the ground. Yes. But you know, I still feel, while the design is different, you still feel that old wisdom that is with both Gandalfs. I think both Gandalfs. Yeah.
He's still Gandalf. It's John Huston was the actor who did the voice of Gandalf.
Houston?
John Huston.
Huston.
O-N.
Okay.
Yeah, he was, let's see. Hold on, I'm bringing up. It's a very long Wikipedia page for this man. Maltese Falcon.
Yes. You know what? And he does return in the Return of the King. That Rankin Bass will do. That's not what we'll talk about next. Next week we're going Bashki.
So an interesting change they made with this is more of the dwarves die at the end than in the book.
So many dwarves died.
Yeah, it's so much. It's so fun. It's bright. It's the designs are over the top and warm. And I want to put it into context too. When I watched this, it was brand new. It came out in 1977. I was 6 years old, and I already knew the book. And I was excited beyond belief for this. And it was like I think they used to air it on Thanksgiving as a holiday special, because they were looking, I think Rankin Bass was looking for something they could do during that era, that time period. I could be mistaken of when it aired though, but I was just insanely in love with this cartoon. But of course, you know, we are right in that immediate post-Vietnam sort of time frame. And so I think that they really wanted to hit the impact of war much more strongly, much heavier. Like in the dialogue in this goes much further, as I recall, than Tolkien's anti-war dialogue does. And they double at least the amount of dwarves that are killed. All off screen. All the dwarves die off screen except Thorin, who's dying when Bilbo wakes up.
What's his name? Oh crap.
Does one of them die on screen?
The fat one.
Bomber?
Yes. He at that point he's really weak, but
you're right.
It's implied that he died.
Finds Bilbo,
but they really do have it's surprising at the end how they go ahead and just admitted, oh yeah, there's so much death. Because
remember Bomber crawling up to him saying, "We won."
Yeah. But the thing is, like, all before that, anytime there is an implied death, they use that zoom out so that way they don't actually show a stab or anything like that.
Lightning.
But then at the end, oh, he's dying. He's dead. Soon it will be 6.
Yeah, that's right.
But it's really good. It's really great. And that line at the end, if we were more like you,
enjoying the simple things in life.
Yes.
Yeah.
he would be wiser. But that actually brings me to my major complaint. I love the scene with Smaug, but that design with hair on a dragon is unacceptable.
Oh, see, I was about to say how much I love the design of
Oh my
Smaug. He's
god, I
very
can't.
cat-like. And again, unique. You don't all the dragons so often just look the same. And I've never seen a dragon design like this. I love how strange and weird it is.
I can't stand it's. I don't know what it is. Like I get it for like Chinese dragons that do have like hair and it's very a part of their design, but I need it to be reptilian. In my typical fantasy, I need it to be reptilian. You know
I enjoyed his weirdly short, flat face, his
that
tufts
word.
of hair. There's something just so strange and creepy. He's more monstrous to me than a more traditional snouted lizard-like dragon. Um, but I mean, I just love this cartoon. I love the singing. The songs are really well done. Um, the animation is fun. Um, I wish there was a line of toys of these. I would buy the hell out of these toys, let me tell you.
You know,
As
I'm
you can see, I mean, I have my
actually
have
really surprised there's not even like a
nothing. There
yeah.
was a line of figures for the Bakshi one that came out in around 1980 or so, 1979 or whatever. We'll talk about that when we talk about
Talk
Bakshi.
about that next week. Yeah, no, but this week this is really a good movie. It's a really good adaptation. Now, if we could just somehow create a baby between this and that terrible trio, we could make something decent.
Okay, so I want just for clarity, just so I know where we are on this conversation. Did you watch the extended editions or the theatrical editions of the Hobbit movies?
Theatrical, and you know what? I only watched the first two. I never made it to Five Armies. They watched it without me, and I didn't seek it. And I've heard.
Okay, so for the record,
Mhm.
one, nothing fixes Battle of Five Armies. I'm not recommending you ever see it. But the first two, the extended editions, are infinitely better. There's a lot that it's one, you know what they mainly add back in? The songs, the
Really?
feasting. Yeah. There's so much more singing and feasting in those versions. And also, Mirkwood, they take the time. They have the boat scene where they have to carry Bomber. They have all of that stuff comes back into it. And the pacing of those films is so much better. However, just like in once they get to Lake Town, you turn the movies off. Like it's done. Everything up until then is really pretty good. The barrel ride, you can pretty much stop as soon as the barrel ride starts. Um, but especially that first movie, um, I really find a
I
lot.
didn't hate the first movie, but the second one, I was at that point I was starting to feel.
You remember the scene where Gandalf introduces all the dwarves one by one, almost comically, to Bjorn?
Yes.
Which, if you think about it, is the same thing he did to Bilbo. Um, that happens in the movie. That whole scene is in the live action movie in the extended edition. All that fun stuff comes back, and that was one of the problems we can see it why in the Rankin Bass one. All of that fun stuff is there. The theatrical editions of the live action ones, they leached it out. They put a lot of it back in for the extended, and I will say those first two are worth seeing if to rewatch as an extended edition cuts. Only extended edition.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to circle back and actually do full reviews of those films as we're going through.
That would be
But
fun.
we're just biding time until we have to suffer for another season of Rings of Power.
I'm excited. But no, I this cartoon is like I said,
Delightful.
this was my childhood. This was like seeing something like this come on the air, and you had to wait every year for it because they couldn't buy it or just stream it. There was no such thing. So I was obsessed with it, and this cartoon started a lifelong obsession with Lord of the Rings. Hence, again, the toys.
The toy.
Um, the and it's because of this. It was my gateway. Obsessed with the books. I have a whole shelf of Tolkien books in front of me there, encyclopedias on Middle Earth, maps of Middle Earth, all off camera here. And I gotta give a lot of props to Rankin Bass for doing this. They did something I think that was really bold and daring at the time with this film. It was so one, the counterculture anti-war message for 1977 was hit really strong. It's very political for its era. It is very faithful for an adaptation, especially from an adaptation from the 70s. This is shockingly faithful. Like, yeah, they cut stuff, but it's still.
They did cut quite a bit.
And I get it. They had run times to and animation budgets, but dang, it's really good.
Which actually going through and reading about some of the drama during these films, that's going to be a fun conversation, especially next week, because of all he had to go through to get that made.
Oh, you're saying the Bakshi stuff.
Yes.
Oh, there's a lot. I'm looking forward to that conversation. There's a lot to unpack with the Bakshi version, the fact, the way that got made, everything about that, and its impact too. There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah. But overall, this is a really great film. I'm very glad that I finally watched it. It took a long time, but finally had a reason.
And I think that if a person wants to ignore the Hobbit live action, which is their right, this serves as a prequel, and it's like you can watch this and then watch the live action, and you'll get the story you're looking for. You'll get the context. All the context you need is there. You know,
Yeah.
you just might be wondering, why does everything look so different? But
that is something that's gonna throw it off. But overall, even with how ugly those dwarves are, really a lot of them too, because the fact that they go ahead and they have, you said gnomish,
yeah,
and I could see that, but when they extend the heads upwards, that's like,
oh, Balin
really
looks like a weird monster. His long pointy nose and his head is like,
terrible.
but it was everything in it was so highly stylized. And we're going to talk more about that when we get to the Return of the King, weird sequel to this, which will be a little while because we're going to do Bakshi first. But
you mean Frodo the Hobbit 2?
Yeah.
What a name that would have been.
No, it's definitely it's surprising it got made. I think it had a lot of impact. I think that the songs alone were an absolute achievement. And I love the design of Gandalf. I just love the way he looks in that. And you're right. He while he looks different, you still look and go, "Yep, that's Gandalf, no doubt."
Gandalf, you can tell.
Yeah.
Even though he doesn't have the brim of his hat.
Isn't that a weird choice to just not have the brim? I wonder if it's an animation thing. Like,
I think it was more because if you go to a lot of medieval like art pieces, you do see that kind of cap that he had.
Yeah. And these hats are not a thing. Like,
no,
historically.
No. This is fluff, this is fun, and we just want to hide it.
When we are done going through all the Lord of the Rings adaptations at some point, I do want to sit down and I want to talk to you about my theories of some of Tolkien's creation. I have some theories I want to run past you. I think they're really interesting. It's including the mythological inspirations for the wizards. I did some deep digging on this, and Tolkien being a professor of mythology, it makes sense to look. Well, let's look at the different mythologies that he may have drawn from. So I found some things that I don't see talked about much. So we'll get to that at a later date.
Absolutely. But for now, I think that's our review of this. The Hobbit, 1977, a treat. Go watch it. That's right. Just put on the One Ring, disappear for a little bit, and sit down and enjoy a musical adventure. Go down, 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 down the Goblin Town. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time here on Pixel Lore. Greatest adventure is what lies ahead.